Hi, friends. Hi, good morning. Happy Friday. TGIF. My name is Attorney Marina Shepelsky, and this is my live that I'm trying to do every Friday. Every Friday, I try to do this live, and for the last few weeks, I've been able to do it on Friday. Some weeks I do it like on Wednesday, but most times this is a Friday show. So I say to you, TGIF, welcome. My name is Marina Shepelsky. I'm an immigration attorney. My office is in New York, but we happily work actively with all 50 states. So if you're in any country or if you're in any other state, other than New York or New Jersey or Pennsylvania or Connecticut, we welcome you and we're happy to work with you. Thank God for the internet. Thank God for working remotely. We're able to help everybody. And I remind you that immigration law is federal. It is pretty much the same in most states. The only exceptions are like when we write appeals and we ask USCIS or the BIA or the immigration court to reopen cases. We just use different case precedents depending on what state you live on. But basically, we're allowed to do it no matter what state you live in. And no matter where you live, we can certainly help you. I prepared today's show to discuss various topics and the latest news related to immigration law, to immigration to United States. As many of you know, I'm an immigrant myself. I am from Ukraine, that's under aggressive war and attack by Russia right now, and I've talked a lot about that, but I think it's time for me to address everything else that I kind of had to put on the second shelf last week because I had to deal with hundreds, if not thousands, urgent questions from people in Ukraine or coming to United States from Ukraine or U.S. citizens with relatives in Ukraine. This week, I want to focus on everywhere else because I don't want to leave anyone behind. I want to give attention to the rest of the world this week and talk about my favorite topics of what's new with VAWA, violence against immigration, violence against women and men act, immigration petitions, VAWA, asylum, TPS. I prepared to talk about TPS. How does TPS work? We're doing a lot of TPS right now, and it works for many countries, not just Ukraine. Actually, Ukraine hasn't started yet. They announced that TPS for Ukraine is coming, but the procedure hasn't been announced yet. So for now, we're just collecting the paperwork and not filing. But for people from Haiti, El Salvador, let me read you the list of designated countries for TPS, right? Let me read to you the list of countries. And if you are from one of these countries, you probably can be eligible for TPS. So give us a call at the number below and we can discuss your personal situation. But this is only for people from the following list of countries. Temporary protected status. It's like a temporary asylum. You get a work permit, you get non-deportable status for 18 months. It doesn't matter what kind of visa you came in with, or maybe you came without a visa, even if you had a parole or no parole, if you just snuck across the border, if you've been deported, if you are in any kind of proceedings now, all of you, if you're from the following countries, can probably apply and win temporary protected status. And those countries are Burma, El Salvador, Haiti because of the earthquake, Honduras, Nepal, Nicaragua, Somalia, Sudan, and South Sudan, Syria, Venezuela, Yemen, and now Ukraine. Okay, so if you're from any of those countries, you're eligible for temporary protected status. And I will answer your questions. I see them. Thank you for my YouTube followers and to my Facebook followers and whoever else is seeing me out there. I will answer your questions in a few minutes. Max is saying in Russian, hello and good day. Hi, Max. Good day to you. Okay, so let's go through the topics that I prepared today. So as I mentioned, TPS, right? TPS is for countries that are going through military action or like bad nature kind of act of God situations. Like Haiti had the earthquake, and the other countries on the list because of the military situations in their countries. The countries that are really in a constant state of war, those countries are on the list. And if you're from those countries inside United States, TPS is for anybody inside the United States. You can get status if you follow the dates. There's special dates by which you had to be here. TPS is only for 18 months, but every category of TPS has been renewed over and over again. And thank God we don't have Trump anymore, because Trump actually stopped renewing for a while. Under Biden, they are renewing TPS, and we expect that to continue. So that's TPS, and that's the list of countries. Right now, we're actively using the expediting procedure for many USCIS case types. Let me start with the most common one, that they're commonly and actively expediting. Expediting means they're speeding up. They're making them quick approvals, okay? Work permits, especially if you are in the healthcare industry. If you're anything related to healthcare, even if you're a truck driver, even if you work with computers. I had a guy recently who works in construction, but one of their clients that they service is a major hospital in New York City. If you have proof of that with your name, we can expedite your work permit case, or you can do it yourself. The procedure is not that complicated. Let me tell you how you do it. First of all, before I even explain everything, you can only do it through talking to a human being, or you can do it through Emma, the chat bot. So if you go to USCIS, in the upper right corner, it's asking you, do you want to talk to Emma? You can actually do this through Emma, okay? To speak to a human being on the phone, when you call the 1-800 number, you request info pass appointment. That's how you skip to a human being. You say info pass and then skip info. You talk to a human being, you talk to a representative of USCIS, and you say, I request the expediting for healthcare workers. I request my work permit to be expedited. I hear from some of my colleagues that not everyone who works there is yet aware of this program. It's pretty new. It's only been like 3-4 weeks. But you have to insist. You have to be strong, and you have to fight for yourself when you talk to them. You have to say, I ask for expediting of my work permit. And you say, I'm a healthcare worker, and they might ask you to email or mail or maybe even send through the Emma bot proof of you being a healthcare worker or not. Maybe if you convince them on the phone, they will just do it without any proof. I can't tell you how it's going to go. You have to try to do it yourself, right? So if you have a pending work permit, they will expedite it first and foremost if you're a healthcare worker. Also, they will expedite if you have a job letter that you're going to lose your job, or that you are like very important to the company, and without you having the work permit, they're going to suffer a severe financial loss. They will be hurt financially with money. They'll lose money, a lot of money, if you don't get your work permit right now. And for humanitarian reasons. If you need a work permit for any emergency, medical or other type of humanitarian reasons, like you need to work and you have a sick child, a disabled child or spouse, and you need to get back to work as soon as possible, but you can't without that work permit, right? You can expedite. You can also expedite an advanced parole if you have somebody dying or super sick in your home country or anywhere else where your family lives in the world, and you're pending some sort of green card or in some other status that allows you to have an advanced parole. You filed it and it's just not coming. It's been months. and somebody in your country or one of your family members is sick or dying or died, and you need to go to a funeral, God forbid, these are all for emergency situations, you once again can ask for expediting. And we have been trying to expedite anybody whose family member beneficiary is now a refugee or living some other country in some other country because they couldn't anymore live in the home country. They're helping with those. Both USCIS and the National Visa Center and the consulates are helping expedite and transfer cases if the beneficiary of the petition is a refugee or some other humanitarian thing is happening. The meeting that my congressional connection had with the Department of State yesterday, they said if the beneficiary has a medical problem and they need to come here as soon as possible, they're putting people with medical problems ahead of everyone else for expediting, for speeding up cases. So if that's happening, and God forbid your relative is going through a medical situation to be expedited, they are expediting. Who they're not expediting, they're refusing to expedite, is anybody in those long lines that have to wait for 15 years, like brothers, sisters of US citizens. They're not expediting those people because they say a visa is not available for them yet. So they're not going to help you with expediting an I-130 petition for a brother or a married child of US citizen, or even a single child of US citizen if the visa is not ripe yet, if it hasn't been said to you that your visa is ready. In that case, they will try to expedite. And so those long lines, they're not expediting. And, I know you guys ask me all the time, don't even ask me. They're not expediting people who are in those long years waiting lines. They're only expediting people who are able to come right now and who have some sort of humanitarian or emergency problem. All right, so that's the expediting procedure that I wanted to discuss. Good news for any children under 21 who are here alone without parents. For those kids, we can now get a better job done, and more laws are coming down to make it easier to file special immigrant juvenile. Juvenile means for kids petitions. That's the I-360 for children who don't have parents with them. We're seeing a lot of them from Central American countries. Kids who are here alone without parents. They might have an aunt or an uncle. They have cousins or maybe an older brother or sister, but their parents are overseas, right? Those kids can get green cards through a process called SIJ, Special Immigrant Juvenile Petition. Give us a call. There's new laws coming down from immigration right now to make that type of a case easier, okay? So that's definitely in the news, and we're discussing it because I have somebody in my office who's helping us with the phones right now that I'm going to do this for. She's here alone. Her parents are in a Russian-speaking country, and she is 18 years old. She's about to turn 19. She's still under 21, and if we file in time, she's going to be able to freeze her age. So even if, these things take 3-4 years sometimes, even if that happens, her age will now, under this new law, be frozen as if she remains under 21 while she is waiting. The main thing is to file with immigration before the child turns 21 years old, okay? So we discussed that. VAWA news, right? It's still very important to mention that they also made it easier for people, men and women, married to a US citizen or green card holder who are being abused, okay? Abused, treated badly, called bad names. It could be just verbal or financial or manipulation or blackmail, right? Maybe they never hit them or punched them or pushed them, but they're being abused by their US citizen or green card holder spouse. Now, if you can prove you lived together even before marriage, you're still going to win this case. for many years, you had to prove that you lived in this marriage and only show paperwork to prove the marriage from the time you lived in this marriage, right? Now, USCIS made it much easier, much simpler to file, even allowing to use paperwork showing the couple lived together before marriage, or maybe even after divorce got back together and lived together. As long as the divorce is less than 2 years from today, we can file for VAWA, whether you're a guy or a lady, and help you get a work permit and a green card and legalize your children through this process of VAWA. Even if these kids are from another marriage, we can help you legalize these kids through VAWA. And don't be afraid, call us today. This is the news on VAWA. Currently, VAWA is taking, well, let me double check for you guys so that I have today's information. I go to uscis.gov and I check where VAWA is pending. What is the processing times? I Google processing times and I pull down from they have like a pull down menu, I-360. That's the VAWA form. I-360, and I choose Vermont. Vermont is mostly where all the VAWAs are being processed, right? And they're saying to me that currently a VAWA petition is taking up to 30 and a half months, almost 3 years. So I tell my clients, be patient. This case might take as little as 23 months, but as much as 3 years to process. So from 2 to 3 years. And this is true. And we're getting results for our VAWAs within 2-3 years from filing. But in these 2-3 years, you're legal, you can travel, you can work, you're in status, and if God forbid you get denied for VAWA, you're not getting deported. They don't send people to deportation if they say no to your VAWA. So you really have nothing to lose if you're a victim of abuse in a marriage, so you're a citizen or green card holder. Even if it turns out that this marriage, as we had a few clients, was like fake. Why? Because the person was married to somebody else, didn't tell you, and married you again, right? So they were pretty much a bigamist, married to 2 people at the same time. That's okay for VAWA. You're allowed to file. Even if you crossed into the United States with no visa, you're allowed to file. Even if you were turned away at the border and you came back 2 or 3 times, you're allowed to file. Even if you have a deportation, you're allowed to file. Why? Because we as a country help people who are victims of domestic violence, even if it's not physical. So give us a call. And one thing I have to say, I've been telling this to people left and right. We don't know who the next president is. So just think about it. Joe Biden is like almost 2 years into this presidency. In 2 years or less, we might have a new president. He might be somebody like Trump. We don't know who's coming, the next president, right? All these things are getting filed right now. They will still go through under these existing very humane laws for VAWA or for other, people who are asking for asylum and so on. I don't know if the next president is going to be the crazy one like Trump and might start pulling all this back. So the lesson here is file whatever you're eligible for right now. Help yourself, help me, help you, okay? That's the lesson of the day. This wraps up everything I had planned. Let me get to your questions, okay? This is somebody who's asking me in Russian that he has a wife in Ukraine. F2A just got approved 3 days ago. How long is it going to take NVC to call her and to get her an appointment because of the urgent situation in Ukraine? Give us a call to discuss, please. It's going to take a few months, but we can help you expedite it. So call us today, okay? Ibrahim says, hi, ma'am. My case was VAWA approved. I want to know if I need the I-864 affidavit of support. You do not need an affidavit of support for VAWA. VAWA is an exemption, meaning you don't need an affidavit of support if you're getting your green card through VAWA. So don't worry about it at all. Um, Nikolai says, "Hi Maria, I applied," and then that's it. Then Hash Hash says, "How is the VAWA as defined in removal proceeding works?" Okay, if you have VAWA and you are in removal proceedings, you tell the judge that you have VAWA and it takes 3 years, and they usually will put your deportation case on hold. Your lawyer can ask you to ask the judge for you, ask the judge to freeze the case, do an administrative close or something like that until your VAWA is approved. Once it's approved, we ask the court to reopen and terminate, completely cancel the removal proceedings. That's how that works. Nikolai clarifies. Hi, Marina. I applied for asylum in 2014 and still waiting for an interview. Is there anything I can do or just wait? Mostly just wait. I'm being honest with you. If someone can get a medical letter, a doctor's letter, that your health is suffering from the waiting, I had a guy who was suicidal. He couldn't take the waiting anymore. Sorry about that. Then they will try to expedite your asylum entry. Only for humanitarian or medical reasons they will expedite. Good morning, says Christy. Hi, my friend Christy. How are you? And Muhammad says, I'm a healthcare worker, physician. He's a doctor. God bless you. Thank you for your work. He's waiting for the EAD card. I'm married to U.S. citizen. What are my chances to get expedite approval? Very good chances. You just call USCIS, tell them you're, ask for an info pass, speak to a human being, give them the receipt number for the I-65 application for the EAD you filed, and tell them you're a doctor. You have a doctor's license. Maybe even, they might ask you for your license number. Just dictate it. Or something like that, or you have a work ID or anything that shows you're a doctor, and ask them if you can email it to them or send them, or do they even need it? Maybe they'll just believe you and expedite your EAD. You have a great chance of getting expedited. Arnoldo says, hi, what about Guatemala? Guatemala is not on the list of TPS countries. I'm sorry. Zulika says hello and good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday. Okay, we discussed this. Dar says, hello, Marina. I was recently granted U visa. Would it be possible for me to apply for a green card without waiting 3 years? And can I travel? You can probably travel. You can file for an I-131, and you will probably need to prove why you need to travel, like if there's an emergency. But you cannot apply before 3 years. You must wait having the U visa for 3 years. For a green card. You cannot apply for a green card until it's exactly 3 years. Ali says, I'm emotionally abused by my U.S. citizen spouse. Can I apply for VAWA if I divorce more than 2 years? No. If it's more than 2 years since divorce, no. Imrak says, you're awesome. Thank you so much. I'm losing my voice because I've literally talked to hundreds of people, talking, texting. I've had people who I barely know write to me on my phone, on Facebook, on Instagram with the Ukraine situation. I'm actually in Washington Post. You can Google Washington Post, Marina Shepelsky, if you're interested. I interviewed with Washington Post. They showed me on CNN. I'm actively helping Ukrainian people get their relatives to United States. So my voice is gone, but thank you so much. D-Post Guy, Dash, says, greetings, Marina. Is there any pathway for international students to get green card? Only through work. If you get a good job offer and you have good education, you have a chance. Also, marriage to a U.S. citizen. What is the marriage? Oh, for VAWA. What if marriage is less than 2 months? It's okay if you have proof of the marriage, of living together, and especially if you have proof from before marriage that you lived together. We have clients who were married for only a short period of time and win VAWA. I'll tell you why. In some cases, the abuse is so bad, you cannot ask somebody to live with the abusive spouse for a year when they're constantly being blackmailed, called names, beaten up, pushed, put in the corner. So 2 months is a lot. Immigrant says, can you expedite VAWA work permit and travel document? You can if you have humanitarian reasons that I discussed early in the show. If you want to watch this and rerun after we finish here, if you missed the beginning, I discuss how people can expedite a work permit for special reasons. You have to show you have humanitarian reasons. For example, maybe you have a job offer and they won't hire you without a work permit, and you are like the breadwinner. You're the sole supporter for your kids and you. Okay, you're suffering financial loss, or the job or the company will suffer financial loss. Maybe your job is related to healthcare. You're taking care of somebody who is sick or something like that, they will expedite. And travel, advance parole, same thing. If you have a humanitarian reason, somebody's dying or sick, or you haven't seen your children in 5-6 years, you can try to expedite. They are expediting for many people. The Dream says, how long after VAWA application do you get a work permit and advance parole? Based on where I am and, from my experience, about 10 to 11 months, a little less than a year from the time you file. And we just discussed how you can expedite if you have humanitarian reasons to expedite. Alexandra says, hello, Marina. Is there any news about B1, B2 visas for Ukrainians in Slovakia? Poland sadly declines tons of Ukrainians, and it's no reason to go apply there. Thanks for your work. Let me tell you, bad news. Slovakia is also denying many people because they're still following old rules for issuing tourist visas. And I know people that I'm, in contact with from U.S. Congress are telling me they've talked to the Department of State about this. The Department of State, they're the ones who control all the consulates, right? They're the bosses for the U.S. consulates. They're very slow. They haven't changed anything for B1, B2 visas. And that's because they need to create a new law to change it. And they need the president or Congress to change it. Right now, there's no changes in law. Therefore, they're denying anybody they don't think will come back to Ukraine. And that's almost everyone, right? If they think you're immigrating to the United States, you're forever leaving Europe and coming to the United States and only need this B1, B2 visa as a way to come in, they will deny you because they're saying you are not proving non-immigrant intent. Non-immigrant means the person asking for a visa is going for a short visit and coming back. People from Ukraine mostly are not coming back. That's why they're denying them. Unfortunately, they are approving anybody that has close U.S. citizen relatives, and those relatives send paperwork to the embassy that they're going to be a sponsor. Everyone else is getting denied in Slovakia, just like Poland. Again, Marina, can a delivery person expedite his or her EAD? You can if you can show your deliveries somehow are related to healthcare. Otherwise, not really. That's another comment. Nikolai says, thank you for answering. You're welcome. Anira says, hi, I'm a U.S. citizen from New York. I filed for my mother last year to adjust her status. How long is the process to adjust status for parents of U.S. citizens? I'm going to tell you right now because I'm still on this website. You can do this yourself. You go to uscis.gov and you find processing times. Or you could Google processing times USCIS. You pull down I-485 for your mother and you choose New York office because your mother is in New York and you're in New York. So if you go to New York City and you get processing time, it's telling you between 11 months to 33 and a half months. So you could take anywhere between 10 months to almost 3 years, Anira. Bolton says, what about reapplying from a bad marriage in 2001? Unfortunately, if you're still if you were divorced from then, nothing can be done for you. We cannot help you. Jonathan K says, if deportation status is reopened and terminated by the court, so your deportation was taken out, how long will it take to receive termination letter? How do you check the termination online? There's no way right now to check it online until the court enters the information. Usually it takes 3-4 weeks. How you can check online? One way, I guess, would be to Google automated immigration court information. Automated. It's going to give you a window. You put in your alien number. When you press enter, you will see what's going on with the case right now. And if it's terminated, you will see terminated by such and such judge and the date. But otherwise, 3-4 weeks for the letter. The Dream says, good morning, Marina. How long at VAWA do you get work permit? Oh, I already said that. 11 months or so. Elvis Presley said, hi, Elvis. My VAWA is approved. I'm out of U.S. Can I marry? If you're out of U.S., you can marry. I don't recommend until you get your green card to marry or do anything else personally. But if you want to, you can. It's just going to badly affect your case. Until you have your green card and you have VAWA, I don't recommend you remarry personally. Alexander says, that's why you are the only one who are helping Ukraine now. We highly appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm from Ukraine. I started to do these videos on my English and Russian channels. By the way, all my Russian-speaking friends, find me on the Russian channel where I actually only speak Russian. Here I only speak English mostly. And I do have videos I'm uploading there almost daily. And if you find me on Instagram, again, daily, I'm posting information. After I hang up here, I'm going to post how to request humanitarian parole if you have somebody in Ukraine, not in Ukraine, but now, like let's say in Poland or Slovakia, who is sick, people with medical problems. They're expediting those ahead of everyone else. The Dream says, I do. Great. Mr. O says, hi, I filed my I-360 and 485. That's the VAWA and the green card application in 2017. My I-360 was approved. Thank God. The VAWA was approved in October 2021. How long do I wait for my I-485? In my experience, between a year to a year and a half from October 2021. How this works, Mr. O, is Vermont, once they approve the service center, the humanitarian unit, VAWA is handled only by one unit. That's a humanitarian unit. Everybody from different states, they all send to Vermont to the humanitarian unit. That unit, once they approve your I-360, sends your case, and it looks like a folder, like this, a folder, big folder. It's called your alien file. It's a brown folder to your local office, depending where you live. Then the local office receives it. All of this takes months, by the way, 2-3 months. When they receive it, they put you in queue, a line to be scheduled for an interview. Then the officer who is actually going to be deciding your green card case, adjudicating it, takes their file, looks at it, and says, oh, VAWA. They hit a button on their computer. They check your fingerprints. They see no arrests. Nothing bad new happened. They will request from you your medical, your immigration medical with your vaccines for COVID in a sealed envelope. And perhaps they will approve it without an interview. Because if you don't have any new problems, arrests or anything like that, no security violations or triggers, right, like terrorism, they don't even interview right now for VAWA. For people who are getting green cards after they had their VAWA approved, my clients, they're not interviewing them. They're just asking for the medical, send the updated medical, and they're approving on paper alone. And you will receive a green card. So please, my friend, be patient. You're able to renew your work permits and advance paroles, and soon you'll have a result. I hope by fall, by October 2022, you should hear something from them. Katie says, what is the best process as an IT expert to immigrate to United States? But let me tell you good news. Work petitions, that's if you get a work sponsor, a company to sponsor you. Work petitions for anybody in STEM, science, technology, you're in technology. Engineering, if you're computer engineering, or math, again, related to IT, are getting priority over everyone else. So if you're in that field and you get a sponsor here, a company who wants to do this process for you, you should get a green card through that. Or visa, or just visa to come and work here legally. Ahmad says, hi. If someone got divorced, more than 10 years can apply for VAWA. No, VAWA is only less than 2 years after divorce, or none at all. The Dream says, thank you. Many thanks, says Depost Guy. God bless you. Alexandra says, one second, I'm sorry, my throat is so dry. I drink water and I add, what is that called? There's a name for this where like you add, it looks like a fungi to like water and sugar, and it like breaks it apart and ferments it, and then it's good for your digestive system. I add a little bit to my water. It'll come to me. Alexandra says, so if my mom owns an apartment in Ukraine, documents that she has deposits in banks and good amount of money on her deposit card in her bank, will she have a chance to accept this for visa? Or you propose to write a letter to the embassy? It's hard for me to tell you. They do look at things like that. She has to prove she's going to U.S. temporarily for a short visit. It's not forever. Most people are saying they're only coming for a few months to see how this war ends and then go back. Yes, those things you described are proofs that she has something to come back to, right? But people who are like, they're not in a marriage, they're divorced or single or widowed, people that have like nothing really, like no human being to come back to, especially in a country that's torn up by war right now, they're denying. And if you write a letter to the embassy where you say you will be her sponsor, you send them your tax returns for 2 years, W-2s, your pay stubs, and you write a letter that you are going to be her sponsor for her short visit in the United States, you will pay for her and her medical insurance and travel and food and board, meaning her room and board where she stays, maybe she has a good chance. The Dream says, Marina, I don't have a lot of pictures. Will this be okay for VAWA? It will be okay if you have other things other than pictures. It will be okay if you have witnesses, like your family and friends who can confirm you were married. It will be okay. Samuel says, is giving care to autistic people considered as health work? Yes, I would say yes. Kay says, hi, my green card was approved 3 months ago, but I didn't get it yet. That's a problem. 3 months is a long time. What can I do? First of all, you have to go to USCIS and check the status of your receipt number for I-485. If it changed to your card is being produced, it's still being produced. They're still printing your card. If it says your card was mailed to you 2 months ago and delivered, and they always include the U.S. Post Office tracking number, you can track it using that phone number online. So it shows it was delivered. You didn't receive it. You just have to file for lost green card, I-90. And try to do it without paying the fee, okay? Maybe it's their fault that it was lost. Maria says, hi, Maria. Hello, I appreciate your program so much. My grandmother's residency card expired over 10 years ago. And do we just fill out the I-90 or do we have to do something else? No, I-90 is the way to go. I-90 is the right form. Mr. O says, thank you. Well explained. Venice says, hi, ma'am. Hi, how are you? Anira says, do they still require an interview for parents of U.S. citizens who filed I-485? Sometimes, not all the time, sometimes. No deportation record and no criminal record. We included the medical when we filed all the paperwork. You know what? There's a chance they will not interview your parents. There's a chance they will just send the green card, but I cannot promise. I've seen both ways recently. Sometimes they interview, sometimes they don't. There's no logic to this. As usual, there's no logic in how USCIS works, and don't try to look for logic. Nikita says, my daughter is 14 and she is on H4. Will she get her driver's license when she turns 15? And how can she get social security card? Unfortunately, age 4, I don't think they have a right to work permit and a driver's license. Actually, let me break this down. I think age 4s are not allowed to get work permits. As far as driver's license, you need points, and it depends on what state you live in. They might take her other IDs as points even without the work authorization. It depends where you live. Some states have already gotten rid of this whole requiring the work permit to issue a driver's license. I don't know how your state works. Let me double check for the H4s. They've been changing things with work authorizations lately. So I don't always know like the latest stuff. Let me double check about eligibility categories. All right, so I'm going to the instructions for I-765. Sometimes I don't know everything by heart, and I have to look things up. It looks like they're only giving the work authorizations for age 4 spouses, not kids. Okay? H1B spouse, that's the H4, is going to get the work permit. I think children, like your child, I don't think she's going to get the work permit. It depends on your state if she's going to get the driver's license for the points. Alexandra says, thank you for your answers. We will contact your team shortly. Thank you. Nikita says, I'm in Mississippi. I'm sorry, I don't know all the states and how their driver's licenses work. You should Google. And you should call your DMV, Department of Motor Vehicle in Mississippi. Ask them for this information. Lana Kulikova says, hi, Marina. I'm a citizen of U.S. and my brother is in Ukraine. I'm sorry. He is 35. That means he is of the age they won't let him leave, right? How can I bring him to U.S.? Our hometown in Ukraine is demolished after bombing. First of all, I'm so sorry, Lana. I'm so sorry. I'm so full of pain from everything, and yours is now adding to it. He is of the military, they call it mobilization age. There are exceptions in Ukrainian law right now for men in certain categories who don't have to serve, and then they can leave. So there are exceptions. There are categories of men who are allowed to leave. You'd have to take a look. You just Google basically in Ukrainian or in Russian. Исключение для мужчин в возрасте службы в армии. Okay, so like exceptions for men. That's first of all. Second of all, I don't have any other way to get him out other than, I know people are somehow slipping through the borders to other countries. Maybe he can try to get to Moldova, and from Moldova to Romania, and then apply for a U.S. visa. You can write a letter to them saying you will be his sponsor. You undertake financial responsibility for him. Send them your tax returns, your W-2s for the last 2 years, your 3-month pay stubs, your U.S. passport, and say you are his sister. You undertake financial responsibility for him. He's coming for a short visit to kind of take a break from the war and see what's going on. Maybe it will help, but he has to get out of Ukraine first. I'm sorry. Sanal says, is recapture a visa canceled? If yes, then how are they going to still work on it? It's hard to say. I don't know what category you're in. They are recapturing some visas. And Lana says, thank you. Thank you. Nikita says, thank you. Tabernak is asking, hi, Marina. Is the New York immigration still open now for master hearings? Yes, they are. Absolutely, they're open. Most of them they're doing telephonically on the phones. And Maria says, thank you so much. Thank you, guys. I end the show with wishing you a great weekend. Hopefully you have a wonderful one. Stay safe, everyone. If you're from Ukraine or you have family in Ukraine, God bless you. If you have family in any country that's undergoing military crisis, or acts of God's crisis like earthquakes or badly affected by COVID, I send you love. I send you prayers. We all wish for peace. Nobody wants this war. Believe me, Russian people did not ask for this war. The people in your country didn't ask for this war, whether you're in El Salvador or Nicaragua. Nobody wants to live like this. So I wish you all peace and health, and I hope we'll speak next week and better things will come. Bye bye.